Most architects dramatically underestimate how transferable their skills actually are.
I'm Sam G, an architect who has rebuilt my career 3 times across South Africa, Australia, and now Texas, USA. Along the way, I've learned architecture isn't just code and concrete, it's culture, climate, community, and the courage to begin again. Your Design Passport brings you conversations on licensure, global practice, sustainability, lifestyle transitions, and the personal skills that actually help you thrive abroad. If you're dreaming about a global design life, grab your passport. We leave now.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Your Design Passport, the podcast where we explore how architects and designers build meaningful careers across borders, industries, and identities. I'm your host, Sam G, and today's episode is one that feels even more meaningful to me after my recent conversation with Neil Pann in episode 13. Before speaking with Neil, I already believed architecture was an incredibly versatile profession, but after hearing about his journey, from running his own practice to serving as a planning commissioner, historic preservation commissioner, podcast host, and community leader, I realized something even deeper. Most architects dramatically underestimate how transferable their skills actually are. Somewhere along the way, many of us were taught to believe there's only one correct path in architecture. You graduate, you work in a firm, you get licensed, you climb the ladder. And while there is absolutely nothing wrong with that path, it's not the only path. Architecture teaches us far more than how to draft drawings or coordinate consultants. It teaches us how to think critically, how to communicate ideas, how to solve messy problems, how to navigate ambiguity, how to balance creativity with technical precision, how to lead conversations with people with competing priorities. Those are life skills, leadership skills, business skills, civic skills. And they can take you far beyond the walls of a traditional studio. So today, I want to talk about something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Architecture is a passport. Not just because it takes you across countries, but because it can open doors in entirely different ways of thinking, working, and contributing to the world. And if you're an international architect, or even someone navigating career uncertainty, I think this perspective matters more than ever. One of the things that I love most about architecture is that design is a global language. No matter where you study or practice, there are certain things architects everywhere understand: space, scale, light, materials, human behavior, problem solving. You can walk into a studio halfway across the world and still recognize this process. Now, of course, building codes differ, construction methods differ, professional systems differ, but the core mindset of architecture travels remarkably well. And I think that's especially important for international architects to hear, because moving countries can sometimes make you feel like you're starting over from zero. You're not. You're translating your experience into a new context. That's very different, because the reality is you already carry years of training, perspective, cultural understanding, and design thinking with you. Sometimes what's missing isn't capability, it's confidence, or clarity around how to communicate your value within a different system. This is something I've seen over and over again. Many talented international architects assume they're behind, simply because they're entering a new market. But often, they're bringing something incredibly valuable: adaptability. And adaptability is becoming one of the most important professional skills you can have. Architecture school doesn't just teach you software or technical skills. It trains your brain to operate differently. You learn how to manage uncertainty, how to handle criticism, how to synthesize information, how to present ideas clearly, how to iterate quickly, how to think simultaneously about creativity, budget, regulations, structure, and human experience. That's not small. That's an elite problem-solving toolkit. And honestly, I don't think architects give themselves enough credit for this. Because when you spend years immersed in the profession, those skills start to feel normal. But outside of architecture, they're incredibly valuable. This is actually one of the reasons Neil's story resonated with me so much, because his career demonstrated what can happen when architects stop defining themselves only by traditional practice and start recognizing the broader value they bring. Architecture teaches you how to think, not just how to produce drawings. And that mindset can travel into leadership, entrepreneurship, public policy, media, education, development, strategy, branding, community engagement, even industries completely outside the built environment. Your degree is not a job description, it's a toolkit. And the moment you realize that, your career possibilities expand dramatically. Historically, architects used to occupy a much broader role in society. The architect wasn't just designing buildings. They were deeply involved in shaping cities, culture, infrastructure, and public life. Over time, the profession became more specialized, more regulated, more compartmentalized. And while specialization has created incredible technical expertise, I also think many architects start shrinking their own perspective of what they're allowed to do. Sometimes we unintentionally reduce ourselves to production roles. Deadlines, drawings, coordination, red lines, task management. And again, those things matter. They are essential parts of practice. But architects are capable of contributing at a much higher strategic level too. We understand systems. We understand long-term thinking. We understand human experience within environments. That perspective is powerful. I think the profession needs more architects stepping into public conversations, leadership positions, entrepreneurship, media, and civil influence. Because the built environment affects everyone, and architects bring an incredibly valuable lens to those conversations. I think one of the hardest parts of career growth, especially for architects, is identity. Because architecture is not just a job for many people. It becomes a part of who you are. So when your career changes, or you move countries, or you pivot, or you question the traditional path, it can feel deeply personal. You start wondering, am I still an architect if my career looks different? And my answer is absolutely. Being an architect is not limited to one job title. It's a way of thinking, a way of observing, a way of solving problems, a way of understanding how people interact with the world around them. And that identity can evolve. In fact, I think it should evolve. Because your career can include practice, but it could also include leadership, teaching, advocacy, business, content creation, development, consulting, community engagement, policy, research. And none of those parts make you less of an architect. If anything, they expand the impact architecture can have. So when I say architecture is a passport, this is what I mean. A passport gives you access. It creates movement. It opens possibilities. And architecture can do the same thing, not only geographically, but professionally. Your architecture background can take you into rooms you never expected to enter. It can connect you with people across cultures and industries. It can give you a framework for understanding complex systems. It can help you lead, build, communicate, advocate, create. But only if you allow yourself to see your skills expansively. And I know that can be difficult, especially in a profession that often rewards narrow definitions of success. But there is no single blueprint for a meaningful architecture career. And honestly, that realization can be incredibly freeing. If there's one takeaway from today's episode, it's this. Many of the challenges international architects face when applying for jobs in the US are not about talent, they're about translation. Translation of experience, translation of expectation, translation of how the hiring system works. And the more you understand that system, the more confidently you can navigate it. But once you start to understand how the industry works, something else happens. You begin to realize that architecture careers don't have to follow just one path. Yes, getting your foot in the door matters. But what you do with your career after that, the direction you take, the impact you have, can look very different from the traditional trajectory. In the previous episode, I spoke with Neil Pann, an architect based in California whose career expands far beyond the typical studio role. From running his own practice to serving as a planning commissioner and historic preservation commissioner, Neil has had a direct influence on how cities make decisions about development and the built environment. He's also a key voice in the architecture community as the founder of ArchiSpeak podcast and the host of Inside the Apple Studio, using media to shape how architects think, communicate, and engage with the profession. And our conversation reinforced something I hope today's episode reminds you of too. Architects are capable of far more than we sometimes give ourselves permission to pursue. Your Design Passport just got another stamp. If you enjoyed this episode, follow Your Design Passport and share it with an architect or designer navigating their own global career journey. Because every project, every move, and every experience adds another stamp to your professional passport. Until next time, keep sketching, keep dreaming, and keep building your global design career.
You've been listening to Your Design Passport. If you're ready to build a design career and a life that travels with you, hit follow and join me every other week for more global stories, strategies, and inspiration. Until then, keep dreaming, keep designing, and keep collecting those passport stamps.